The polar vortex is about to bring down a dangerously cold Arctic blast, with temperatures plunging down as much as 50 degrees below average across some parts of the US early next week. Could this lead to a rare winter storm across the Gulf Coast and the southeastern US? In this video, I'll be showing you what to expect with this weather pattern, but first, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more weather updates. So starting with this dangerously cold Arctic blast expected early next week, here's the temperature anomaly according to the Euro model. Starting tonight, going into Friday, temperatures are actually above average, especially across the north-central part of the US. And then notice we do have those above average temperatures starting to move east later on Friday, but then notice what happens this weekend. We have this huge Arctic blast just pushes into the US, this just expands across the US. Going into early next week, also, by January 20th, on Monday, you have well below average temperatures just east of the Rockies and also the northern plains especially. These temperatures could be, in some cases, 40 to 50 degrees below average. And then that just expands eastward across the Midwest and also the Ohio Valley. This is pretty extreme going into later on Tuesday, January 21st. And also way below average temperatures across the South. And then that kind of shifts eastward, but you still have very cold temperatures across most of the US just kind of staying there, and then things kind of warm up. Next weekend, Saturday, January 25th, it looks like things warm up, but then notice you have another Arctic blast ready to plunge down into the central part of the US. Towards the end of January, this one could be equally as intense if this holds true, and this is pretty far out, but the Euro model is showing a continuation of very cold temperatures with multiple Arctic blasts. And then here's a look at the actual temperatures. Notice things are kind of warmer across the Midwest, temperatures in the 30s and 40s, and that's on Friday. Those warmer temperatures, you kind of have a cold front bringing those colder temperatures into the US, and notice the temperatures on Saturday going into Sunday, it just keeps getting colder and colder and colder, especially across the northern part of the US. You definitely can see those temperatures dropping. In some places you could see that maybe in the Yellowstone area, you could have temperatures 30 degrees below zero, even 25 to 30 degrees below zero across North Dakota and northern Minnesota, negative 30 degrees in southern Canada also. And then notice freezing temperatures all the way down to the Gulf Coast, and temperatures going below zero across the Northeast and also the Ohio Valley. And that would be on Monday morning, and then going into Tuesday, you have these well below average temperatures, very cold temperatures, even approaching possibly negative 20 degrees in some places in the Northeast. And then notice these really cold temperatures move eastward by Tuesday night. Temperatures maybe negative 20 across eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And then notice things do warm up after that, so it looks like the early to middle part of next week, from about probably Sunday to Wednesday, is probably going to be the coldest, and then things kind of warm up, according to the Euro, before possibly another Arctic blast really moves in, and possibly even colder for the Northeast. We'll see what happens over the next couple weeks, but this significant Arctic blast over the next few days is pretty serious. The wind chills are going to be even worse. We have early Monday morning, you could have wind chills of negative 50 degrees across North Dakota, negative 50 to negative 60 across portions of southern Canada. These wind chills will definitely lead to frostbite quite easily. So this is pretty dangerous, as well as just extremely cold temperatures. The wind chills are worse. And notice these very cold wind chills, even below zero across parts of the South. And by Wednesday morning, you could have wind chills in the single digits along the Gulf Coast. That's pretty serious. And wind chills negative 30 to negative 40 degrees across the lower Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. That's very dangerous. And then things do warm up after that, but definitely a pretty serious Arctic blast with dangerous wind chills. Even Colorado could see some wind chills like negative 40 degrees early next week. So this is a pretty serious event. In some places, there's going to be a lot of record low temperatures as well. The National Weather Service has the day 3 to 7 hazards outlook. They're showing for pretty much the eastern 2/3 of the U.S. from the Rockies eastward. Hazardous cold temperatures expected from January 19th to January 23rd. That's the coldest time frame from pretty much Sunday through Thursday. That's pretty much where the hazardous cold temperatures are expected. Also, the potential for high winds in the Southwest, especially Southern California, for January 20th and 21st. High winds in the Rockies and Northern Plains for January 21st to 22nd as well. But these very cold temperatures are really important to look at, especially because this could lead to a significant winter storm across the Gulf Coast if everything sets up right. And as you can see, that this is the simulated precipitation from the Euro model. They're showing potentially a snowstorm across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, possibly for January 19th, this Sunday. And then notice we have some snowfall across Colorado. Sunday night going to Monday, we have some of that snowfall, and then notice what happens over Texas. We have rain across the Gulf, and then also across southern Texas, we have snowfall, potentially heavy snowfall, starting pretty much Monday night into early Tuesday, and this moves across the Gulf Coast pretty quickly. So we have a few hours of heavy snow going from southern Texas across southern Louisiana, the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and Alabama also, and then going across even the Florida Panhandle, northern Florida, even seeing freezing rain potentially, and then it kind of moves out along the southeastern coast of the U.S., and then that pretty much disappears by early on Wednesday. It's not there anymore, and then there could be some more storm systems after that, but this is the potentially a significant winter storm. And the GFS model is also showing it too, pretty similar to the Euro model in this run. And this is interesting because some of the runs are showing it, some of them don't. So there is some uncertainty with that. But if it does happen, it's going to be that would be extremely rare and historic to have a winter storm, a significant winter storm along the Gulf Coast. The ensembles are actually showing it that this is still possible, and they're showing pretty much a over 50% chance, according to the GEFS, at least a 50% chance of seeing at least 1 inch of snow over a 24-hour period across portions of southeastern Texas, north of the Houston area. Actually, you can see anywhere from 35 to a 50 to 60% chance of seeing some snowfall across southeastern Texas going into southern Louisiana, and then also some decent potential across the Outer Banks of North Carolina also. So that'll be pretty interesting to see if that happens. We'll have to watch and see what happens with that. Even the Weather Prediction Center is showing a day 5, a 10 to 30% chance of a decent winter storm across Texas, Louisiana for day 5, and then going across the southeast for day 6. And the thing is that it's kind of tricky to see how this is going to set up, because we have all of this is going to be very cold temperatures, of course, with the polar vortex. And then we have this trough kind of sliding down from the western U.S. And then notice what happens. It goes kind of into Texas, and over here is where we would see that winter storm setup. And the thing is it's kind of uncertain, because if it goes too far south, a lot of the precipitation is just going to be over the Gulf of Mexico and also Florida, and it's just going to be rain. But what has to happen is this trough has to be in the right place so that we can see a lot of precipitation, but also interacting with enough cold air to produce snowfall across the Gulf Coast before the trough really pushes off the southeast coast and out into the Atlantic. So we'll have to see how it exactly sets up. It's still a few days out, so a lot could actually change. But if it turns out like what the Euro model is showing, this could be pretty significant if we have up to 6 inches of snow across South Texas, even 2 to 4 inches across Houston, maybe even 3 to 5 inches for Louisiana in some places, and then not so much across Alabama. It seems like it skips Alabama, but then really hits Florida and southern Georgia again, you could have possibly across the Florida Panhandle 2 to 3 inches of snow, and then 3 to 5 inches for southeastern Georgia, and then it kind of mostly skips the Carolinas. They could get an inch of snow, an inch or two across the outer banks of North Carolina and the coast of South Carolina, but we do have a lot of lake effect snow further north just because of all those cold temperatures in place. Zooming in a bit more, we could even have over like Jacksonville, Florida, maybe 2 inches of snow. I don't know if this will actually happen, but this would be, if it does, that would be extremely rare. Like for Florida to get this much snow, even further south, an inch of snow across the northern Florida peninsula, and then the Panhandle, like Tallahassee, could see 3 inches of snow. These amounts would be very historic. Even 5 inches of snow for Houston, that's a lot of snow, and this could definitely cause a lot of problems, because this doesn't happen like 99% of the time. It seems like the eastern U.S., even the South, has so far this winter seen a lot of active winter weather, but people have been really missing out on it across the western U.S., who have the Southwest and California. Really, even just over the next, really, this is through the end of the month, not really seeing any rain at all for the Southwest. Southern California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, the Southwest, really not seeing precipitation at all. It's like, that's pretty bad, but we'll have to see what unfolds after that. Just really this significant Arctic blast and the potential for a significant winter storm across the Gulf Coast is something we really should be watching. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share the video, comment below, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more weather updates. Extreme Weather Zone, out.